Welcome to St. Andrews Institute of Technology and Management. This college is affiliated to Maharshi Dayanand University, Rohtak and approved by All India Council for Technical Education. This video lecture is a part of series developed for online classes. Hello everyone, my name is Ashish Tripathi and I am working as an assistant professor at St. Andrews Institute of Technology and Management since 2015. My areas of interest are data analysis and data visualization, which are recommended to be a data scientist. Logical Organization of Computer. It is a course in Maharshi Dayanand University for the BCA second semester. This course comprises of the flip-flops, registers, counters and memory circuits. So let's study about this course from the Unit 1. In this video of Unit 4, we will learn about the input-output interface and the various type of interrupt which are occurring in the computer. Input-output interface: the special hardware component between the CPU and the peripherals to supervise and synchronize all input and output transfer are called the interface. The input-output bus consists of data lines, address line and control lines. Each peripheral device has an interface associated with it, which decodes the address and control received from the I/O bus, interpret them for the peripheral and provide signal for the controller. When the processor places a device address on the address line, each interface has an address decoder which when detects its address, it activates path between the bus line and the device that it controls. All other peripherals remain disabled. So here we can see that between the CPU and the input-output device like the keyboard, there is an interface so that whenever any data is to be read from the keyboard, then the address line is activated and the control is signaled to the keyboard. The function code is called the IO command. There are four types of command, that is control command, status command, data output and data input command. A control command is issued to activate the peripheral. The status command is used to test various status conditions of the peripheral. The data output command causes the interface to respond by transferring the data from the bus into the register. The data input command causes the interface to receive data from the peripheral device and place it in the buffer register. So here you can see in the diagram that there is a processor and it has three buses, namely data bus, address bus and control bus. All of these three buses are being connected to the interface which has the respective peripheral like keyboard, printer, disk and tape. Whenever there is a need of the data, then a control command is being issued to activate that peripheral, example the keyboard. Then the status command is read from the keyboard whether it is activated or not. After that, the data input command is being issued so that the keyboard can input the data and the interface then transfer the data to the processor. The terminal sends and receives the serial information. Each quantity of information has 8 bits of an alphanumeric code. The serial information from the keyboard is shifted into the input register INPR. The serial information for printer is stored in the output register OUTR. These two registers communicate with the communication interface serially and with the accumulator in the parallel mode. Just see in the diagram, you can see that the input flag FGI is set to 0 initially. When a key is struck, an 8-bit alphanumeric code is shifted into INPR, that is an input register, and FGI is set to 1 so that it can mark that there is something in the register. As long as this FGI is 1, input register cannot be changed. That means you cannot input any new item. When the computer reads 1 bit in the FGI, it transfers the information from INPR into the accumulator register and again set the FGI to 0 for the new input. Similarly, the output flag FGO is set to 1. When the computer reads bit 1 in the FGO, it transfers information from accumulator to the OUTR and FGO is set to 0. The type of communication in which the computer checks the flag bit before any transfer is called the program controlled transfer. In this, a computer simply wastes its time in checking the flag bit, as you have already seen. Instead, if the external device informs the computer when it is ready for the transfer, then this type of communication in which no flag is checked is called the interrupt control transfer. The interrupt is enabled by a flip-flop IEN. If the IEN value is 0, then flags cannot interrupt the computer. If IEN is 1, then the computer can be interrupted. Types of interrupt. There are different types of interrupt. The first one is the program interrupt. It refers to the transfer of program control from the currently running program to another service program as a result of external request. The control returned to the original program after the service program is executed. For example, if we want the control to transfer from the main function to the addition function, it has the following characteristics. The interrupt is initiated by internal or external signal and not by the execution. The address of the interrupt service program is determined by the hardware and not by the address field of instruction. It stores all the information about the state of CPU, not only the program counter. The collection of all status bit conditions in the CPU is called the program status word. This bit signifies the mode of CPU, that is the user mode or the system mode. If it is 0, then it is a system mode. If it is 1, then it is a user mode. So here you can see in the program interrupt that if you are running or executing a program, then whenever it requests for some input output or some manipulations, then it will interrupt the CPU to accumulate or to perform that instruction. This type of interrupt is known as the program interrupt. External interrupt. It comes from input-output device requesting transfer of data, elapsed time of an event, power failure, timeout interrupt, etc. It occurs when a program is in an endless loop and exceeded its allotment time. Power failure interrupt transfer complete state of CPU into non-destructive memory before power ceases. For example, if you are printing a document on the printer, then after the completion of the print, or if the paper is not in the tray, then the device, that is the printer, will interrupt the CPU about the event. The CPU will then stop the execution and handle the event. This is known as the external interrupt. Internal interrupt. It arises from illegal or erroneous use of an instruction or data. These are also called the traps. Example: register overflow, divide by zero, stack overflow, etc. These are synchronous with the program. So, what is an internal interrupt? Suppose you are executing a program and you are entering the values into an array, and after entering the values, the memory has been used up. That is, you have the overflow condition. In this situation, there is an internal interrupt generated inside the computer. This interrupt will prevent the program from execution and it will terminate it, then intimate the CPU about the same case. Software interrupt. It is initiated by executing an instruction. Example, supervisor call instruction switches CPU from user mode to supervisor or system mode to perform the IO actions. Now, what is a software interrupt? Suppose you want that there should be a transfer of information from your computer device to the USB, that is the pen drive. In this mode, what will happen? For each input-output transfer, you have to switch to the system mode from the user mode. This change or this exchange of the mode can be initiated by the software interrupt only. Priority interrupt. A priority interrupt is a system that establishes a priority over the sources to determine which condition is to be serviced first when two or more requests arrive simultaneously. A polling is done to identify the highest priority process by the software means. The highest priority process is tested first, and if its interrupt signal is on, then control branches to a service routine for its process. Otherwise, the next lower priority process is tested. So, what is a priority interrupt? A priority interrupt is that suppose you are running a laptop and your battery is going to finish. So, if you are playing a song, then this song will be interrupted by the battery status because the battery status has the higher priority than the Windows Media Player. Hence, it will stop executing your song and it will direct the CPU to handle the event of the battery as soon, and it will display a message to the user that your battery is going to off, you have to plug the charge. This priority interrupt is of two types. One is the daisy chain priority interrupt. In this, all the devices which request for interrupt are connected serially. They are placed in decreasing order of their priorities. Initially, interrupt line stays in high level state, which shows no interrupt for the CPU. If a device generates an interrupt, then it sets interrupt line in low level state, which is detected by the CPU, and it responds with an acknowledged signal. Each device has its own PI, that is the priority in, and PO, that is the priority out line. The ACK signal, that is the acknowledgement signal, goes from device to device till it reaches the interrupting device, which blocks it and places its interrupt vectored address on the data line of the CPU. So, what is a daisy chaining priority interrupt? In this, we just put all the devices in a serial way. Suppose we have the keyboard, then the mouse, then the scanner, then the printer, and so on in a serial way. And initially, the interrupt line is in the 1 logic. That means there isn't any interrupt. Whenever there is an interrupt from the device, then this line value will goes to 0, and as soon as the interrupt line has the logic 0, then the CPU is intimated that there is an interrupt. Now, what will the CPU do? The CPU will pass down the ACK signal device to device till the interrupted device has been reached, and when it has reached, then the CPU will handle that interrupt. As you can see in this figure also, we have three devices, device 1, device 2 and device 3, which are placed serially in the CPU order. Now, every device has the PI, that is the priority in and priority out, and also whenever the interrupt request is being given, then the vectored address is placed in the processor data bus, which is handled by the CPU, and then the CPU will acknowledge that interrupt accordingly. The second priority interrupt is the parallel priority interrupt. It uses a register whose bits are set separately by the interrupt signal from each device. The priority is established by the position of bits in the register. The mask register controls the servicing of device according to their priority. It disables lower priority processes when higher priority process is executing. The encoder set the interrupt status flip-flop, that is the IST, when an unmasked interrupt occurs. The interrupt enable flip-flop, that is IEN, can be set or clear to control the interrupt system. The priority encoder is a circuit that implements priority function. When one or more inputs are 1, then the IST, that is the interrupt status flip-flop, is set to 1. If all the inputs are 0, then the IST is clear to 0. So what is happening in the parallel priority interrupt? It uses a register to hold on the priority bits, and it will service the devices accordingly in the parallel fashion. It has the two register. One is the IST, that is the interrupt status register, which mark out the status of the interrupt, that is whether it is 0 or 1, and also it has the interrupt enable flip-flop, which is set to 1 initially, so that the device can interrupt the CPU, and if none of the devices interrupt, then it will set to 0. Now here is a sequencing operation for this priority interrupt. Likewise, initial sequence of interrupt service routine is that you have to clear the lower level mask register bit. That means you have to set the lower level mask as 0. Then you have to clear the IST bit, you have to set it as 0. Save the content of the processor register and set the IEN bit that to 1. That means interrupt enable is set to 1. Now the devices can interrupt the CPU. And now you should proceed with the service routine. Now what is happening after the interrupt occurs? Is you have to clear the IEN bit so that none of the other device can interrupt the CPU now. Restore the content of the processor register. You have to restore and save the processor register contents in somewhere in the buffer memory. Then you have to clear the interrupt register IR. Set the lower priority bit of mask register. You have to set the lower priority mask, that is from this priority move to the next lower priority, and then restore the return address of the PC register and set the IEN, and then again go back to the normal functioning. Set the IEN bit to 1 so that the other devices can interrupt the CPU, and you have to again go for the PC register content. In today's session, you have learned about the input-output interfaces and various type of interrupts. Now here are some questions based on this. You have to explain the concept of input-output interface. You have to list the various types of interrupt. What is a priority interrupt, and explain the daisy chaining and parallel priority interrupt. Thanks for watching the video. With this video we come to the end of this unit session, and also we come to the end of this course. Hope you have enjoyed the course and you have learned about the various type of flip-flop, register, shift registers, counters, memory devices, input-output devices, secondary memory, auxiliary memory, primary memory, etc. As well as you have got to know about the addressing modes, the working of the IOP processors, and the interrupts in the session. If you have any doubt, you can contact me. Till then, take care and goodbye.